Hi, I'm Benton Stokes.
And I'm Elane O'Rourke.
And this is Cocktail Theology. Hello there.
Hi there. What is this delectation you have created for us?
Delectation, I like that word. So this is a cocktail that I actually came up with a couple of days ago, looking at what we had in our cupboard, which included fresh basil, which is not something we always have. So I thought we should have a cocktail with fresh basil. So this is a basil berry gimlet.
Okay.
So what's in it? Well, I should say two. We had deep Eddy lime in our cupboard, which is not something we usually have in our cupboard.
I'm feeling a lot of things we don't normally have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So deep Eddy lime is a vodka, and we don't generally do vodka cocktails as a general rule. We're not anti-vodka, but it's just not our spirit of choice, so we don't generally go there. But we had some, and it's really tart.
Very tart.
And so I thought, what if I use it with a basil simple syrup that we had made and some of this fresh basil? So that's where I started.
Okay.
So I did some basil simple syrup, fresh basil leaf, just tore it and muddled it with that and the lime vodka. So it kind of made a base.
Okay.
Then to that, I added a half ounce of creme de cassis, which is sort of a blackberry blackcurrant flavor, and on the sweeter side.
Definitely.
And then I added to that a generous amount of dry gin. We happen to have the Tanqueray dry.
Okay.
And then a little bit of Angostura bitters just to sort of bring down the sweet just a touch.
Yep.
And then shook it really well, and there we go.
All right.
So it is somewhat similar to the CT berry gimlet that we introduced back during lockdown.
Yes.
When we were having our Facebook Lives, and we would sometimes do the berry gimlet. So it's similar to that.
Okay. I like the gin with the, very flavorful vodka. The gin gives it, frankly, more of a spirit taste.
Right.
I bet you could put sparkling water in this and put over ice or something.
You absolutely could.
That'd be good.
If you guys want the recipe, shoot us an email or find us online. You can find us at cocktailtheology.com. And from there, if you just send me a note and say, hey, I want that recipe, I'll be glad to shoot it back to you.
Love it. Love that.
So today, we are talking about fate. And not just fate, but also luck and karma. Even though Christians will say they don't believe in luck, fate, or karma, they sure don't live that way. I think most Christians probably believe in some kind of karma, that what comes around goes around, or at least they hope for it and pray for it.
So I want to actually back this up a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Having grown up in a more conservative culture than I did,
yes.
What were your taboos?
Taboos?
What were you not allowed to do?
First of all, I should say that my parents were not religious in the sense that they enforced our church's doctrine on me and my sister. Okay.
Yes.
The pressure that I felt to live up to a certain standard with regard to my faith came from my church, not from my parents. But in my church, there were many things. They believed that lots of things would open yourself up to the devil's influence. So if you played cards, if you went to a dance, if you went to movies in a public movie house, movie theater, if you drank, if you smoked, or imbibed in anything that could, bring pleasure or intoxication that wasn't under a doctor's orders.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Even growing up, the boys and the girls didn't swim together in the creek at camp.
Well, of course.
They were just, basically they would sort of try to hem us in as kids. They would try to hem us in to the point where, temptation was out of reach. So if you lived in such a way that you wouldn't be tempted by these things, But, in my experience, temptation finds you anyway.
It's true.
And honestly, the more you're told not to do something, kind of the more you want to do it.
Yeah, that can really work that way. So you brought up the playing cards first. Mm-hmm. And of course, immediately my mind went to Go Fish and Old Maid. However, yes. I think that was less their concern than something really dangerous like gambling.
Well, yes. But I do know, people that would say, yeah, we're going to play Rook Saturday night. Don't tell.
Well,
right? And yeah, because it was still cards.
That's right.
Even though there were no chips, nobody was betting on anything. Mm-hmm. It was still cards. So yeah, if you followed it to the letter, it was mm-hmm. a very restrictive way of living, and it really sort of hindered how you could allow yourself to be entertained, occupied, mm-hmm. And really, if as a kid, if you really followed that to the letter, then yeah, I guess you'd be bored a lot. Now, I grew up in an age,
or you'd learn to play piano really well,
or in my case, you'd learn to play piano really well and write songs. But I mean, I lived in an age, pre-VCR, so it wasn't like we had, or cable, so it's not like we had movies to watch at home, because that introduced more problems.
Oh yeah.
Once the technology came around. I was having a conversation about this with my friend Sarah recently, and she said whenever she invited her Nazarene friends over, their parents always wanted to know, well, what are you going to be doing and what are you going to be watching?
Okay.
Because they knew that Sarah, even though her dad was a Baptist pastor, had a VCR. So who knows what kind of evil could come in through that VCR.
Well, and the Baptists are liberal compared to the Nazarenes,
yes, they
right?
are. Yes, they are.
And there's a wide range of Baptists, to be
fair. Yes, there are.
Huge wide range.
Right.
Okay. But even where she was growing up, the Baptists were kind of, Christian light
compared to the Nazarenes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I bring up the taboos because, and I'm so glad you mentioned Rook, because it seems to me that conservative Christians, I could be wrong. If you're a conservative Christian, please write to us. Go to cocktailtheology.com, click that contact us, and please correct me. But it seems to me that there were lots of things that were troublesome because they involved luck.
Oh.
So I'm thinking about the gambling thing for a minute.
Sure.
Now, gambling is a problem because it's a sin because of something. Mm-hmm. Maybe because the Romans cast lots for Jesus's cloaks. I don't know. Okay. Lots of good reasons to say gambling is not a good thing. Okay?
Sure.
But there's something else kind of, I don't know. There's something else about it that I think, like of all the ones you mentioned, it's not physical in the sense like you're not being close to somebody you shouldn't be close to.
Right.
You're not poisoning your body. You're not it's a funny one in that list. Mm-hmm. And I think that it has to do with the idea, besides the money thing, and people are funny about money, the idea that there's luck involved.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, my guess is that if you lived in a really restrictive culture, you would be counting on luck a lot. because the reality is, you've got multiple possibilities for being in trouble.
Oh,
There's the whole God part.
Right.
Okay. God sees everything. You're hoping that God was busy with a plague somewhere, right? But whatever. But then there's also just the people around you. And I suspect that there are lots and lots and lots of conservative Christians, or conservative anything else, who grew up often wishing or hoping that they were going to be lucky and not get caught.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings up the whole interesting aspect of luck.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think about luck for a minute, and then I want to try and Christianize this and see if we can make sense out of why Christians seem to be, and not just in this case, seem to be wary of luck, much more comfortable with fate. By far.
Yeah.
Way more comfortable with fate.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are merely chess people on a board and God's moving us around.
Right, sure.
So if you can speculate through your, 15-year-old self's eyes, what would you have thought about luck? Would you have thought about it? Or, was it problematic?
I don't remember it being problematic for me. I've never been anybody that believed strongly in being lucky or unlucky. Like, for instance, if something bad happened, I wouldn't think I was unlucky or that luck had anything to do about it.
Okay.
Now possibly if I'd, won a prize at a thing and it was very random, then I might think, wow, I got lucky. Like if somebody drew my ticket at a raffle or something
but
like
see,
that.
look, like a raffle is automatically problematic.
It is.
With this way of thinking that you've been describing.
Right, and we never had raffles either.
Stupid Baptists were off having raffles all the time.
They were off having raffles.
But anyway, okay, so you didn't worry about the luck thing unless it seemed like something coincidental or random.
Yeah, because I really did believe that, God was watching closely. So if anything, I would believe that God had something to do with it more than luck.
Okay. So let's imagine for the moment that kids at your school, I don't know, I'm now like reaching for a Christmas story, right? But imagine kids at your school did something wrong, smoked in the bathroom.
Okay.
I don't know, something not horrible. And 2 of them got caught and 1 of them got away. Would you think that other kid was lucky? That he had been guided by God?
No, I would probably think he just ran faster.
Okay. And I bet that kid would waver between feeling lucky and recognizing that he had run faster or been more aware of it or whatever, right?
Sure.
So there's this funny thing about luck without even getting into like the normal human what you're doing with stuff, right? Because it seems like, and I would love to hear from you on this. It seems like you can't really hold a God is the master of my fate and there is something called luck, bad or good, whatever.
Right.
I'm not sure how you could make sense out of that. But I bet that there are people who feel like God is the master of their fate and also will enter a raffle. So as you know, some years ago, I started buying tickets, not many tickets, but tickets, whenever the lottery got over 200 million.
Yes.
Because I was like, okay, if I have $1 or 2 now, whatever, if I have $2 and it entertains me for 24 hours, that's cheap entertainment.
It's true.
Okay? That does not mean that I haven't occasionally, I'm going to be really honest with you listeners, it does not mean that I haven't occasionally literally prayed to God to win the lottery.
Sure, yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Odds are against you. It would have to be either luck or some weird butterfly wing physics. Or God reaching in and going, you know what? Elaine has been so good this year.
Big Santa
I'm
Claus.
not going to bring her a Chatty Cathy doll. She's going to win the lottery, right? But I started doing that. I know the odds of this. I understand this. And yet there's a part of me that really hopes either I'll get lucky or God will reach into the vat for me and pull out somebody else's ticket and then magically change the numbers. Miraculously change the numbers so that I can win. Okay? Or we could win because, I would be generous. But there's that, right?
Yeah. I still don't really hang my hopes on luck. I tend to think that when good things happen, either it's because you did the work or put the pieces in place to allow good things to happen, put yourself in the place, in proximity of good things, or it's because God smiled on you and saw fit to bless you in that way. And I don't, but it's not, I don't believe, here's where what I believe gets closer to luck is that I don't believe that God blesses, I'm doing the scare quote thing because bless is a word I'm having trouble with right now, but that God blesses people because they're extra holy or extra religious.
Okay, which would be more of a reward.
Which would be more of a reward.
Okay,
I don't necessarily, I don't really buy into that. So, like, I don't believe that if I'm nice to a homeless person, that then my chances of winning the lottery go up.
Whoa. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Will you excuse me for a minute? I need to go, be nice to a homeless person. I'll be right back.
Right. But like I don't really think about God behaving that way toward us. And I don't believe that like good things just happen to Christians and bad things just happen to evil people, because absolutely. Clearly there's plenty of evidence that proves otherwise.
And there's plenty of evidence that shows that that's an overlapping Venn diagram.
Yes, it is. Right. Yes, it is. So I would be more inclined to think that God were involved before I would think luck were involved.
Okay. All right, so let's stay on God rewarding me with the lottery. Okay. See how I keep saying this? I'm trying to manifest
Let's manifest it.
I'm manifesting it. The more I think about it, the more likely it is to come true. Mm-hmm. Going back to the butterfly wings and physics. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's imagine for the moment that it is God rewarding somebody.
Sure.
Or being just beneficent that day and saying, you know what, Ted?
First of all, your name's Ted, so...
I'm feeling for you, my servant Ted.
Right.
And dude, I know you've already got, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, upstairs, downstairs, 1/4 acre, 2.2 kids and a Volvo. I know you've already got that, but darn it, I feel like I want to send something your way, so go lottery. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's that. There's that idea. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the idea that way back whenever God set up all of this stuff and God created the blueprint for every human being that would ever exist forever and what they would do, that way back then, God said, there's going to be a Ted and he will win the lottery in 2023, Jesus time.
Jesus time.
Well, I mean, what does God know from 2023? What the heck does that mean? So, but you know what I mean? So then it's like, it gets really, like, it starts getting pretty dicey.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, I have real trouble with the idea of God saying, my servant Ted in 2023. I'm not going to feel anything about him at the time, but I'm going to set him up to win the lottery. I have trouble with that.
Yeah.
So, but yet people talk about fate all the time. We were destined to be together.
Right.
Right. Whatever the thing is, it was meant to be. You got the promotion because, it was meant to be, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every dating show ever, it was meant to be, right. Which is all about fate, not luck. Fate.
Right. Well, I'm going to throw another word into the mix.
Oh, please.
Serendipity.
Ooh.
So I think serendipity is probably closer to where I land on all of this than anything else. Happy accidents or happy coincidences. Now, if something is serendipitous, it's not completely coincidental. You can say that fate was involved, destiny, God had God's hand in it somehow, or, butterfly fluttered its wings in, Taipei and nice things are happening for me. I mean, you can credit serendipity on a number of things, but sometimes I think that things are just serendipitous, like you happen to get the front row parking spot at Safeway, or you happen to...
wait, no, I'm sorry. I need to stop here. Rockstar parking is a beneficence from the parking goddess.
From the parking goddess, okay.
And if you don't understand that, it's no wonder you have to park so far away.
So that's on a different spreadsheet.
Good golly.
But serendipity, I think, is something that, I can be like, wow, everything just really lined up for you to receive that, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. That's really great. You were in the right place at the right time.
Which you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or somebody was just really, really kind to you, like a stranger was really kind to you. Mm-hmm. So I think those things happen. Mm-hmm. But I do think that sometimes that is the result of, a stranger choosing to be kind.
Yes.
Or things just lining up somehow. And you just happen to be the recipient of things lining up right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about this because the more I was thinking about it earlier this week, the more I realized that even though we talk as though all of these things can coexist, they're really separate worldviews. Mm-hmm. So if you take karma and even just like take out what it actually means about reincarnation, all those things. Like there's actually a system that surrounds this. It is not merely a word. So, but even if you take all that out, the idea that people get rewarded for being good and punished for being bad, call that karma. It's a very bad version of it, but that's fine. And then take the idea that God gets in there and manipulates things and fate, or I don't know, when the Big Bang happened, it set everything in motion where you might as well call it fate. Right? Or you talk about luck. You can't hold all of those at the same time.
Yeah, those are all very different things.
Right, because both karma, and I wish you guys could see me, I'm like drawing on a chalkboard without a chalkboard. Karma and fate require systems. They require some sort of systemic functioning of the world or God or something. Luck requires almost the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like this very spontaneous poof of something that happens. I mean, you might be able to work luck into karma, but you definitely can't work it into fate.
No.
And yet we use these all the time to describe everything all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
Well, what can we do about it?
Nothing, except expose the lie.
The lie is exposed.
The lie is exposed. That you can believe in luck and fate and karma, or really almost any combination of those. But I think it is worth, and here's the reason it matters. I mean, besides the fact that I find it entertaining. The reason it matters is that it affects how we think about our relationship to other people and our relationship to God.
Yeah.
And if I think other people are luckier than I, or I am luckier than they, or if I think that I'm being punished or I'm being rewarded, or I think that it was already set up, I will live my life differently.
Yes.
If I truly believe any of those things. And it is worth looking at which one or which ones, if any, I believe, that is, live as if it were true. Because that affects how we interact with everyone, including ourselves.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it, but you're right.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Listeners, what do you guys think? Do you believe that fate or luck or karma or some combination of all those things are a part of your worldview, your God view, your self view, your others view? We would love to hear from you. You can reach us at cocktailtheology.com. There's a little contact us button, and if you hit that, you'll have the opportunity to message us, and we will respond. We also love to hear suggestions that you have for topics, for drinks, for all kinds of things. So please do reach out. We love hearing from you. We have new episodes coming out every Thursday. And I hope that you will go and subscribe to us wherever you happen to be listening right now, because there's lots of places where we are. But I will say this, when you subscribe or follow us, it definitely helps other people find us.
Yes.
So if you can do that for us, we would be most appreciative.
Or if you're driving other adults to something, have it playing through Bluetooth on your car radio.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just come up and say nothing.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.